Morning. See how I did that smoothly? I didn't just hop into the chair like I normally do. Welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic is all about side hustle. With me today is the fantastic financial services manager and life coach, Kristin Lobenstein. Kristin, welcome back to Caffeinate Your Career.
Thank you, Jason. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited that you're here, especially because normally when you're here, we talk about life coach stuff. And, Allison is on vacation, and thanks for filling in for her. I appreciate it. Side hustles. Do you have a side hustle?
I used to. I've actually had multiple side hustles,
Yeah.
but they're usually with coaching.
Yeah.
So I'll take clients on the side outside of my JFS career. When I started at JFS, I had 2 jobs at the time. But coaching, oftentimes you have to do that because the one job is not always full time.
Yeah.
So you've got to get with a lot of different communities in order to get full time work. So yes, but I, in the past, have definitely, while having a full time job, have had side hustles.
That's awesome. I do not. I did at one point, and I would sell stuff on eBay.
Mm-hmm. I know lots of people that do that, yeah.
But I've since stopped just because I'm not real good at it. And actually, I'm not. But and that's the thing that'll come up here in a minute. We'll talk about. I forgot, but I am, guys. I just pulled it up. We are live, and I am looking at the chat. I see Mary Kay out there. Mary, good morning. It's good to see you guys. If you're out there and watching live, tell us where you're from, and I'll give you a shout out. And if you have any questions about side hustles, go ahead and ask, because Kristin knows all the answers.
Oh, yes, all the answers. All your questions.
They're right here. Now, Kristin, let's kick this off. Let's start with why would somebody want to have a side hustle?
So people want side hustles for a variety of reasons, but I would say in my line of work, a lot of our folks will do side hustles because they've got some debt that they want to get rid of. So it's an awesome way to just, squash that credit card debt. If you're making an extra $600 a month, all of that money could be put into a debt reduction plan, and you're going to see a lot of progress very quickly. Other reasons, you want to save for a vacation.
Yeah.
Or your current job just isn't making the income that you need to pay your bills. Now, that's a challenging side hustle, which we should talk about at some point.
That's coming up here. And in fact, that's actually, in doing my research for today's episode of Caffeinate Your Career, I found an article in the Harvard Business Review that stated that 45% of people take side hustles to increase their pay and prestige. So that was the number one reason. The second, of course, 34% wanted variety and autonomy, and 7% wanted increased social interaction. I guess they're just sitting around and need some friends. So.
Well, and that makes sense when you think about all of our remote workers. I did a cooking class with some friends on Sunday night, and there was a woman there who is a recruiter, and she works from home. And we're like, wow, why did you decide to do this? And she said, I need to get out of the house. I just want to be around people.
Yeah.
So there's such a varied reason for people to do side hustle work, and it is becoming, it's insanely popular now. It's the gig economy, right?
That's right. Gig economy. Right. And there are several sites that you can, and we'll go over those here in a little bit. But you were talking about just a second ago, like your recruiter friend who ended up, getting a side hustle. Is there a danger, or could a side hustle actually hurt your career?
Well, so your side hustle could hurt your career if, let's say, you're a programmer and your company says, we don't allow you to work for other companies in programming while you're working for ours. So that would be intellectual property, infringements. There
Right.
could be, your employer tries to keep you from doing side hustles because of the hours. You have to have flexible work hours. And so, the side hustle can take some of the time away from your current employment. Absolutely burnout as well. I remember at one point I had 3 jobs, and
Wow.
I've done that a couple times, especially when I was going through college. So it can be high burnout and exhaustion, definitely.
You had 3 jobs at one point?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a much harder worker than me.
Yeah, I was working at a psychiatric hospital as an intake worker, and I was so I'd taken a job at Toyota. I was working the intake job after hours when I got off my job at Toyota because I had an early shift at Toyota, and then I also worked retail on the weekends.
That's a lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
I like to think like I'm a pretty hard worker when I'm here, like when I'm working here, but like I am so lazy.
You are lazy.
I know, right?
He naps that's all he talks about is how much he naps. Stephanie, I'm so sorry.
I like to nap. Like it's my favorite leisure activity for the weekend is sleeping.
But I was younger then too, and it was just an opportunity, just trying to, make more money.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make more money, and that's one of the things we do in financial coaching is that when we are pairing career coaching with financial coaching, one of the most important elements is when you're looking for a new job, does the job pay the bills? Because the hardest thing is when you're taking a side hustle because you can't pay your bills. That's a lot of pressure. Because what if you're tired and you get sick and you can't make it to that second job? Can you still pay your rent? Can you pay your car payment? Are you going to be able to keep the lights on? So, one of the things we do is in partnership in our agency is let's help people find jobs that they're going to make enough money to pay their bills.
Right.
Side hustle work is awesome when it has a goal attached to it.
So, okay. So otherwise, you get, I guess you do get burnt out a lot faster if there's not a goal, an actual goal.
Absolutely. Right. So if your goal is, I want to pay off debt, then you can create some, time limitations to your side hustle. So you could say, I want to pay off debt by December. How much money do I need to make in my side hustle between now and then to pay off debt? That's a great goal because you go, there's an end in sight. You say, I know that by December I can drop this. And if I want to do another side hustle after that, I have choices. People like choices. And so to keep side hustle work from being full burnout, a lot of people, and we work with them on this in financial coaching, is let's figure out what your goal is with the side hustle. So that's, again, going back to why sometimes side hustle work can be a burnout, because it's literally to pay the bills.
Right.
And that can be a lot of pressure.
By the way, guys, this would be a good time to remind you, if you do need help and a financial coach, you can call the intake line at 972-437-9950, extension 377. That's right, it changed. It's 377. That's where you want to call. And somebody will get back to you very soon. We'll get you started in that process. Did you like that?
That was very good.
Yeah.
You're better at that.
That's my announcer voice.
Uh-huh.
So, Kristin, let's talk about what are some of the struggles with side hustle. I mean, you talked about time as being one, because, I mean, it takes a lot of time and energy to start any new project, but especially one that is involving, where you want to make money.
Oh, sure. One of the other struggles that a lot of people don't realize is that you have to pay taxes on your side hustle work.
What?
Yeah. And the IRS, because the gig economy is alive and well, the IRS is getting wise to this, and they're really looking at and red flagging folks that have multiple sources of income. So I think it used to be under 65, $12,550 or something. You don't have to pay taxes on, but when you combine your side hustle work with your W-2 work, which is usually your regular full-time job, you still have to file your taxes on that work. So I think it's anything over $400 or $600. Don't quote me. I'm not an accountant or a financial advisor. The good news is that it's considered self-employment. So you can look at areas of write-off with your side hustle work. But when you pay taxes on side hustle work, and it is self-employment, you're paying 100% of your Social Security and your Medicare taxes, which when you're a W-2 employee, you only pay half. It's employee and employer paid. So just, talk to an accountant about how to account for these expenses and get some good advice on what things could be written off. If you're driving, it could be the gas in your car payment. There's a variety. I'm not even going to go into it because I'm not an accountant, but there's a variety of ways to write off some of that tax exposure, but there is tax exposure. And again, like if you are driving, let's say you're doing Uber Eats,
yeah,
then that's wear and tear on your car.
Yeah.
You're paying for gas now. With Uber Eats, you can get compensated, I think, for some of that, or you can write some of that off. And then, if you, like we just talked about, if this is a way to pay your bills, like you're doing your side hustle because you have to have it to pay your bills, if you're not able to go, you might feel bad. You might feel guilty. That
Right.
might be adding a lot of stress to your life.
Yeah, it's that extra bit, and the cost as well, right? Because we have a shared client that has a side hustle kind of thing. She's making like wreaths on the side, and it's like they sell. I mean, they're good enough to sell, but like at the same time, like the money that she's putting into it for getting the supplies for the things is like it's that extra cost. Like you've got to account for that bit as well. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly. Right. And that's a good example of maybe for her it's not, but for some people that side hustle is for joy.
Right.
It's not for monetary,
right.
monetary reward. It's joy. People like to do arts and crafts and they like to sell things on Etsy, which is a great side hustle gig. We talk about that a lot. If you have a talent, you can showcase it on Etsy. It's a great opportunity to make money. But some people do it just because they want to share something beautiful that they do with others. And that's also a side hustle. And you may not make money, but it brings you joy. It becomes more of a hobby, I guess.
So I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of people there in the chat. Mary said that she did have a side hustle. And hi, Yolanda, I see you. And I'm glad that you like my announcer voice. So sometimes side hustles they don't work, right? I think one of the reasons that it just doesn't work is it's just you're the one doing it, right? So there's no, if you don't want to do it, you don't do it, right? It's like there's no accountability. Like you can't have like if I just stop coming into work, probably not going to be working here very much longer, right? But like on a side hustle, it's like if you just don't want to, if you're not motivated enough to do it, it just doesn't get done, right? So it's like I think that's probably the number one reason why side hustles just don't work is there's no sense of urgency.
Yeah, and again, burnout. So, like I was talking about when I had 3 jobs, well, very quickly the retail job dropped off. I didn't do that very long because it's really hard to work 3 jobs, right? And those were I had 2 full-time. Well, the second job was not a full-time job. It was as needed. And then the third job wasn't a full-time job. So I had 1 full-time job and 2 part-time jobs. And so
that's still a lot, though.
It was a lot. But the retail job quickly dropped off because I wasn't as motivated, and I would have those conversations. Well, I already did these 2 jobs this week. Do I really want to go to my retail job on the weekend? No, I'm exhausted, right? So, there's a lot of reasons why side hustle jobs drop off. And so the balance, understanding, again, let's go back to goal setting. Why am I here? Why am I doing this job? Attaching a goal to it so that it's like running up to the finish line, right? And the finish line is I've paid for a vacation, I've paid off debt, I'm putting money aside for my kids' education, I'm contributing to retirement, and I'm going to make this amount of money at this point in the year, what have you. Goals attached to it really create the momentum that you need to keep the side hustle going.
Yeah, I think that's correct. when, because my buddy CJ said, oh, you know what we can do? We can get one of those photo booths and rent it out, and we can do events and do like weddings and graduation parties and all the things, and we can charge it. And he's like got all this planned out, right? And we're like, he's like, what do you think, guys? And me and Steph were like, yeah, I don't know, it sounds okay. And then later it's like, man, I'm not giving up my weekend for
napping on the weekend.
Like I'm not giving up my time to go, and plus he's the only one with the truck.
Well, yeah,
right?
Okay,
so,
and let's not forget what's the value. So
right.
Maybe you make $200. Is that $200 worth giving up time with your son? Is it worth giving up time on your weekend? Like you have to do that whole cost benefit analysis.
That's right. That's exactly correct. And so like, we're like, yeah, we're not doing that. Good luck, CJ.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't buy the photo booth.
I was like, love you, buddy, but we're not doing that. And actually, I don't think we told CJ that. CJ, you just told him, Carlos Quiroz, we ain't doing it. Sorry, buddy. So that goes back to like why people choose the side hustles that they do, right? Like is it because and I will tell you, because I have notes. I did research, and a lot of it is like for feedback, right? Like they need that kind of. It's like, okay, well, I can drive, but I really want you to leave me a positive review, right? For Uber or Rover. If you guys don't know, Rover's like pet sitting, and everybody knows Lyft and Uber, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it's another way to get that. I mean, everybody likes being complimented.
Yeah, I've never thought about it like that. I definitely had an Uber driver this weekend that was not interested in being complimented, but
oh, really?
No. So I think you have to have some emotional connection to your side hustle, like we were talking about the wreath maker, right?
Right.
She finds so much joy. She wants to earn money, but she finds a lot of joy in making the wreath.
Right.
And if you love driving, I had an Uber driver in San Diego one time who was making a ton of money because he loved driving, right? It started out as a side hustle and became a full-time gig for him because he loved driving and he loved talking to people. So he was getting joy out of this job. What would be better than that? Finding joy in your making income.
Well, right. Well, of course. I mean, you want to like what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what that's like. I feel
he's very unmotivated. His office is next to mine, and I can tell you right now, there's no one that gets more excited about his career coaching than this guy right here. He's very loud.
I am loud. I am loud, but I am also like I get real invested.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my clients, I had a new client yesterday, and I called him up, and he says, "How are you?" I said, "How you doing?" He's like, "I'm okay." He's like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I'm amazing." And he's like, "Oh," I blew him away. He was like not ready for me.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting him later this week because it is going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, I love my job here. I do. I say those things because I usually have Allison in that chair and she gives me that look, right? The Allison look.
Oh yeah.
You've had that, I'm sure, several times.
It's the school teacher.
That's right, and I do it just to get the look because, of course, I love working here, guys. If I didn't love my job here, trust me, I'm good enough at my job. I could go work anywhere. I'm not I just love this job and this organization so much. And I love coming to work every day.
But you just brought up a really good point.
Yes.
Sometimes people do a side hustle, and sometimes we'll even recommend this because they do want to make a career transition.
Yeah.
So they're experimenting, with another job. So, for instance, I've had clients who are in, they're stuck at home or they're in an office job, and they're saying, "I've never wanted to be in office and work in an office, but I love the vibe of a restaurant." So they'll bartend at night, right? So they're bartending to see, do I want to make this my more full-time job? Is this where I want to land here? So career transitions, like I'm not loving what I'm doing, but I want to experiment. Like maybe you have a friend who owns a company and they make, this is silly, a widget, and you're like, maybe I want to get into manufacturing.
Yeah.
So maybe on the weekends you pick up a side hustle working with your friend doing photo booths or whatever because you're experimenting. And we oftentimes talk about in career transitions, exploration and curiosity is what helps, open up the frame of different, potential careers. So it makes sense that using it, just do the side hustle. The actual goal is I want to expand my horizons and I want to consider doing something different.
Well, that's an excellent point, and then that leads into this. If you don't like it, it's your side hustle. You could just quit and try something else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think that a lot of the side hustles that you pick up, if you just don't like it, you can stop.
Yep.
Right.
Like my retail job.
Like your retail job.
I missed that discount, but
it
was too tiring.
I understand. Hey, Phil. Phil says in the chat, said not everyone is allowed. The most important thing is to be yourself. Yes, thank you. And Mary said that she's scared of being loud. Don't be scared. You do you, girl. Because trust me, the right people will click with you. You got no problem. Those that don't, you don't need them in your life anyway. Other reasons that people choose side hustles, it's significant. Like it's offering a service that's being helpful, like urban sitter.
Yeah.
Right? House sitters.
Yeah. And Rover, the one you just mentioned.
Rover, right? Because you're watching
Love
dogs.
Animals.
Right. If you're Jewish, you could be a shomer.
Yep, absolutely.
We've got a client that does that as needed. And then you already have the skill. It's something that you already do, right? Like I could, if I wanted to, write resumes on the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. That would be a great side hustle. You're a baker and you bake, like we have clients because we're a Jewish agency, although we serve everyone. We are open to the whole public, but we do have clients in the Jewish community who make challah on Friday.
Yeah.
For, they'll bake breads for, preschools and synagogues and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
things you love. Yeah. Doing something that you love and also making money on it.
Yeah. I had a client that did that same thing. She would bake like sugar-free brownies or whatever, and go and sell them. I was like, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Right, whatever that you want to do that's going to make it profitable,
right,
and make you happy.
So that brings a good segue also though into side hustles that are sold as a get-rich-quick scheme. So mainly multi-level marketing programs. I do have clients who have explored their MLM, basically is their acronym, and I would use extreme caution. There is a lot of fraud, and there are side hustles that it's pay to play. So in order to get that service, I have to buy a subscription and I have to buy a certain value of products. And then I have to sell the products and I have to continue to sell a certain number of products in order to get any commission off of it. And before you know it, you're on a hamster wheel, right? Mm-hmm. And you're spending money and you're maybe spending, you're earning as much as you're spending, and they keep you going because they keep telling you, oh, it just takes 3 months. It just takes 6 months. It just takes a year to build up your portfolio of clients or whatever. And so they keep you going, and then it never amounts to any revenue for you.
Yeah.
So I would, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. I mean, it is. There's no free lunch, right? There's no super easy way to make millions of dollars. So, if you're feeling like you need a side hustle, really think about, what is this the ultimate cost to you as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think that it is important to do your research.
Yes.
before you start jumping into those kinds of things. And also, too, I think a good bit of that you have to be self-aware. You have to know yourself, right? Like, are you going to be like, because like you were talking like product, like Mary Kay, let's say.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Someone that sells, yeah.
Like I see those pink Cadillacs driving around. Like, I know people can do it, right? You do too. You know people that can do it, but can you do it? Do you know that you can do it?
Do you care about it?
Or do you care about it?
Do you care about cosmetics? Or are you just trying
right.
trying to make money somehow?
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So you have to know you. It's like, do you know enough people to sell to, or that you could help? You know what I mean? Like that's the thing.
A good example of that is we were just talking about this over lunch yesterday. I had a client who lost a lot of weight using a weight loss product.
Yes.
So she started selling the product because she fully believed in the product. So something she didn't even expect to become a side hustle income became a very profitable side hustle income for her. So it's something you believe in.
Yeah.
And you've researched it because you've actually done it or tried it. If you have pets and you use Rover for pet sitting in your own home and you love animals, maybe that's something that you want to consider for yourself. But there's some kind of personal investment. Again, personal investment, you love it, you want to make money doing it, or there's an ultimate goal in mind and you know it will have run its course or have a cycle.
Yeah, I think too, for you guys, if you are out and you are looking for work because you are currently unemployed, you can check out sites like Fiverr or Upwork and start bidding on jobs to get some cash flow coming in.
Snag a
Jobs, and that Flex Jobs is another one. Like get out there and look at those kinds of sites and see, like if let's say you're a copywriter, right? Go look at some copywriting jobs on the site and start bidding on those. And you get a few things. I have had a couple clients that have been fairly successful. I mean, it's not like it's not steady income, but it's
right.
Some money coming in.
Notary.
There's another one,
and there's
right?
companies that will pay you to go through notary school.
Yeah.
Right? You don't.
Right.
It's not something you have to do full time. It's something you could be doing in the evenings and on the weekend. So that's another really common side hustle for folks.
Kristin, let's shift gears for a minute and talk about the myths of side hustle, right? Because when you get down to it, it's like the first one is like everybody should have one, right? It's that you talk about that gig economy earlier, right? Like everybody should be hustling out there, right? But really, not so much. Like, if you're okay financially, it's like, do you really want, like you said, right? Is the $200 that I'm going to make lugging around and setting up a photo booth really going to be worth my time and energy? It's, you know what I mean? Like, personally, I'd rather be taking a nap.
Yeah, we know.
Real clear, I like to nap.
Yeah, he likes to talk about his nap.
I do.
Very proud of his nap.
I'm a professional napper.
Yeah.
It was funny once. We asked Tony. Tony's our son, and we asked him what he wanted to be when he grows up, and that's what he said.
A nap. He said,
"I want to be a professional napper."
Like Dad.
But what's funny is he doesn't take naps. Right. Like, as a kid, like, he's never taken naps ever. Like we would try so Tony's adopted, and we used to be foster parents. When he came to live with us, he was like 3.5, and 3.5. It's like, oh yeah, you need to take a nap. You try to make the kids sleep. He never did, never would.
Yeah, my son never napped either.
He's not going to be a professional napper anytime soon. But I could probably try out for the Olympics. I'm that damn good at napping. Another myth about side hustle is it's going to solve all your money problems.
Yeah. And let's be clear, it can solve a lot of money problems. If you've got a monthly deficit just based on what you're earning in your current job and your expenses, and that's something that you're doing a side hustle because you can't pay your bills every month, that's one thing. That's a totally different issue. But if you are using a side hustle to pay off debt, to, save money for a down payment on a house, again, goal oriented, it can solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
It really can. It can solve a lot of, gaps, that you're trying to fill in your financial life. But it's not going to solve, it like we talked about with my jobs, right? There came a point where one job was starting to impact the other job, and my performance was starting to suffer because I was working from 6:30 in the morning until 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night, which was a really difficult schedule to maintain. Even though I was only doing that a few days a week, my day job, my most important source of income, and that is important to know. What's your priority? My priority was my full-time job, right? And so the side hustles, if they're not working out from that standpoint, if they're impacting my full-time job, they've got to drop off.
Yeah, I think that that's obviously right. It goes back to what we talked about before, like why they fail.
Right.
Right. You get burned out. You're too tired. You just don't care anymore. And I think that's it. It can solve problems, but it can obviously create more as you're trying to get started. And that's the other part is, that's one of the other myths, which is it's easy to turn your side hustle into a profitable business, right? Mm-hmm. When the fact is that like 1 in 5 small businesses fail within the first year. Right. I mean, it's not like
1 in 5. I would think it would be higher than that.
Yeah.
I would think more small businesses fail than that. That's not a terrible statistic.
That's not good.
No. And let's say, are they profitable the first year?
Probably not.
Probably not.
That's the other thing.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, and that that was one of the things that happened. You had a lot of places that were just starting out, and then the pandemic hit, and we were all in quarantine, and now they're like, now what?
Right.
Because now, if it was a restaurant, they've got food has an expiration date. Nobody's walking in the door. Everything that they had is now in jeopardy. Right.
And that's a pivot. Like, can I pivot? Like, if, thinking about your side hustle, and if you're trying to create a small business.
Yeah.
How do I pivot in my small business? If something happens with my day job, or something happens in the economy, or like, look at the number of people that started selling real estate.
Right.
Or mortgages.
Right.
And now, the housing market is starting to decline, and there's been a huge number of people that were laid off in the mortgage industry. So, can you pivot?
A lot of places did. It was very interesting. I know, like Pie Tap, they did a breakfast kit to go. They sold, like all the things that you need to go and make breakfast,
mm-hmm.
and we split that with our friends. The cost, because I think it was like $150 or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but we did it, one, to support the business, but two, it was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
I know a lot of they ended up changing the laws, and a lot of breweries, because the brewery itself is closed because we're all in quarantine. They started doing beer to go. Right, and they still
are. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the pivot and changing things kind of kept going and last. So I think that's a good point.
Right.
The other thing, and we that's the other one of the other myths, is that it won't impact your current job.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it does. Right. You talk about burnout and performance because you're working crazy hours.
Yeah, and probably, again, going back to being goal oriented, how many hours can I really do this?
Yeah.
So maybe you're giving up 3 hours on Saturday. Well, that's pretty doable if you have a 5-day, Monday through Friday job, and you're giving up 3 hours on Saturday to earn a couple $100 a week. That's probably doable for most people. But in order to maintain the side hustle, if you're required, let's say, to work 12 to 20 hours on top of your 40 plus hour job,
Yeah.
Is that doable? So going into it really open-eyed, right? Like setting some, starting point. Yeah, I want to start with 3 hours on a Saturday. I want to see how I do. Maybe I'll increase it. Maybe I won't. But really open-eyed, going into it with, understanding your own boundaries and understanding what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. Again, you have to know your limitations, right? Otherwise, it's just like you said, there's no goal and you don't know you, everything's going to fall apart real quick.
Right.
Right. And then the last myth about side hustle was turning passion into profit is the dream side hustle. Right. I know from experience that is just, it's the worst. Mm-hmm. It's the worst. Like, so I think we've mentioned before on the podcast and subsequent and live stream that I like craft beer. Mm-hmm. And also too, me and my friends are home brewers, right? And at one point we thought we're gonna open a brewery, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're gonna open a brewery, make this hobby, turn it into a cash making beer selling machine.
Was that after a few beers?
No. This was a long term.
Okay.
This was a long term plan.
Okay.
And we got to the point where Brad had secured an investor, so what we were doing is we were brewing the beer, and then Brad would go to his local hangout and bring beers for people that at the wait staff or mm-hmm. regular customers he'd made friends with to try. Mm-hmm. And we had a backer. We had somebody that said, "I will set you up."
Yeah.
Because brewery equipment is expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But so we and in the meantime, so that's happening. In the meantime, I'm doing everything I can to learn about social media marketing and self-taught, but I know about social media marketing, and that's why I know this. Right? But we were brewing because you have to perfect the recipe, right?
Right.
And we were doing it every weekend. Mm-hmm. And by the way, guys, if you don't know, brewing beer takes all day. It's not an hour, it is an hours long process. Mm-hmm. And so now, every weekend, we were brewing beer or bottling beer or brewing and bottling, doing 2 batches of it. Our fun little, hey guys, let's just make beer and we can hang out and just talk, and became work.
Yeah.
And ultimately, so the reason that we did not become and open up a professional brewery is that reason. It's time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also too, at the time too, we were fostering kids, and the kids have activities. I want to spend time with them. I did, and Brian's got a family, and it's there was no time at all for anything else on the weekend. There was no napping. There was no napping when we were.
That's why it really failed.
I couldn't nap, and so.
Jason, there's a reason for that expression. Don't quit your day job.
That's right. Well, that's exactly.
Really?
That's exactly correct. Yeah. Stephanie works with a guy who owns a brewery. But
day job is this.
Day job is working there, and then mm-hmm. after hours and the weekend he's got his brewery. It's hard work.
Absolutely.
And so I know that one firsthand. When the project becomes actual work.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It got to a point I just hated it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And so that big myth, not at all good. Kristin, we're getting close to time.
Mhm.
So, yes, it did. Yolanda Chen said it cut into my nap time. It absolutely did. Let's talk about some side hustles that you can do from your home. It's interesting because, when I started, had this topic, I just figured we'd just talk about side hustles. Oh, like Rover's good. I don't know. And actually, we got into a lot deeper things, but I do want to talk about some side hustles y'all might not have thought of that you can do from your home. The first one is renting out items, right? Like power tools, camera equipment, baby gear, things that you're not using. You can even rent out space.
People are renting out their pools, their backyard pools. Yes, you can rent out your pool. You want to give, you can advertise it in the community, and I think there's even a VRBO for pools rental now. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay to.
I wouldn't either, but some people would.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think, and of course, I was just talking to one of our coworkers, and she's like, people rent out their garage.
Oh, for space.
Yeah.
Instead of storage. Yeah. Like a neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that space, but you could do that if you're there. There's probably like a lot of things that you can rent out if you really thought about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Like not to mention just like flipping stuff on eBay.
Right. Yeah.
Or Facebook Marketplace or Amazon.
Oh, Facebook Marketplace is huge for people. I tell people all the time, like when you're looking to make money, look in your house. What are you not using that you could sell?
Right.
We were just talking about, you have like a whole set of furniture in your garage. There's all sorts of things that are sitting around that we're not using that we could say, sell it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
It's a good little income.
Well, and we had a shared client, and that's he had his own business, just flipping stuff.
Yes.
For successfully.
Yes.
For over 10 years.
Yes.
That's all he did.
Yes.
And he was good at it too, right?
Yeah.
Like that was what he did. And
one thing you have on here is create and sell design templates.
Yeah.
Huge business right now. If you are like Canva.
Yes.
I mean, $6.99 to buy a template.
Yep.
If you've got a lot of people buying your templates out there and you're a creative person, that's a great little side hustle.
And if you know it, it's easy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You just create and design templates. Also, you can become a virtual assistant.
Answer the phone at night for a doctor's office or.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do they have this? Is that
yeah.
I didn't know that people did that.
Oh yeah, they do.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Or make a reservation.
Yeah, that one I know.
Yeah.
Of course, like you've all seen the commercials, like, who you talking to? It's like 2 a.m. It's Jake at State Farm.
Yeah.
Like, what are you wearing, Jake at State Farm? Khakis. That's an inside joke at my house. I always say just khakis.
Yeah.
and that's the voice. It's Rudy's voice.
That's Rudy's voice.
Suman says there are definitely some pros and cons to side hustles. Here's a resource that she shares with clients transitioning into retirement. Side HUSL.com. If you're looking for flexible, full-time, part-time work. Thanks, Sue, for that added value. I appreciate that. And it's nice to see you in the chat as well. Teach English online.
Yep.
Was another one.
Yep.
And the website that listed was VIP Kid.
Yep.
Right? And also, too, you're doing it. It shouldn't affect a lot of your time, right? Because a lot of the times you're going to be teaching to people that are overseas, right? So it's like 8 o'clock our time is 10 in the morning in Japan.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, so, you could do it in the evenings, and it's, for an hour, turn it into something.
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting. It's become a search engine evaluator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like how well it performs.
Yeah, I guess so. Take surveys.
Yeah,
all
that's
sorts
of
survey taking.
That's a good one too.
Test facial creams and products. I've had a lot of clients do that.
I actually like taking surveys.
Do you?
Yeah. I always like when we get surveys. I don't think they go anywhere, but but I like it. I do.
When you do more of them, if you made money,
I would. In fact,
you discovered a passion.
I could do a side hustle.
It's gonna infringe on your nap time.
No, we'll just work it in.
Yeah.
And take a couple surveys. I never thought about that, but I actually do like taking surveys.
Yep.
Consumer marketing. Become a proofreader.
Yeah.
Easy enough, right? Especially if you like and enjoy reading articles and things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, transcription.
Yeah.
I actually had a client. I love this story. I had a client. That's what she did. She did transcription, and then she interviewed at a company to do that, right? Because she was just kind of doing it kind of on the side as a side hustle, but she did a lot of it, and so she was able to kind of stay afloat. Mm-hmm. She interviewed for a job, heard nothing from them, right? She didn't have me at the time to go, listen, you need to start, so she didn't have me to help her through the process, and she just like, nothing happened, I guess I didn't. 1 year later, they called her back and offered her the job. A year later. So what happened, here's what happened. And that's crazy. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. But what happened was the company interviewed her, thought she was amazing, lost the funding, so they couldn't hire.
Okay.
They didn't follow up, as companies don't usually do. She didn't have me at the time, so she didn't know she was supposed to follow up with them, right? And she just figured out nothing happened. But then the position came open again a year later. She did such an amazing job in the position. They're like, we should we'll say Sally. We'll call her Sally. We'll call Sally and see if she's available. And of course she was. Mm-hmm. And they offered her the job like that.
That's awesome.
And she's not a client anymore. It's been over a year that she's done that. Yeah. Wow. So transcription, y'all, could be a thing. Mm-hmm. I love this one. Corral wayward scooters.
Especially on a college campus.
Like
big city, like Dallas.
Like people just go and ride the electric scooter until it dies. And they like I live my neighborhood, and where just right over there's a bike trail. I know for a fact there are 3 dead scooters just sitting there, and
they need to be corralled.
Yeah, it's like somebody needs to pick them up and take them to where they're back to where they're supposed to go. That's a pretty easy side hustle, especially if you are, like you said, on a college campus or you are downtown.
Yep.
They are all over the place, everywhere. Right? And then you can become a shopper. Yep. Right.
You see them all the time at the grocery store.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. The site that it listed was Shipt, SHIPT. So you can go to there and go look that up. If you want to become a shopper, I hate shopping. That's not my thing. You can also sell your smartphone photos.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing either, but apparently you can do that and set up some extra photos. So, Kristin, we are about out of time for this episode. Any additional things you want to talk about for side hustles real quick? No.
Manage your finances. Know your taxes.
Yes.
And set goals for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the big one
What's the goal of the side hustle? Really understand. Yeah. What is the goal? What am I trying to accomplish?
Before you just get into stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing we learned today is that I like to nap.
Yes. We talk about that a lot.
Kristin, let's talk about our last question. It's always the fun question of the show. It's one we've asked a lot, but I always love it. And it's always changing. So, what TV show are you just, obsessed with right now?
Oh, my gosh. So, we're almost done with the 3rd season. It's called The Split. It's a BBC.
Yes.
On Hulu, but it's a BBC drama. And it's like an adult, it's almost like an adult, what do you call it? Soap opera.
Soap opera.
But it's
about lawyers, right?
It's about lawyers,
yes.
yeah. and it's awesome. I love that show. That's my favorite. That's what we're binging right now.
That's good. I just finished watching the first season of Severance.
Yeah, you were talking about that. I have to check that out.
Severance is on Apple TV, and it's about a group of workers that don't have any recollection of what is going on outside of their office. They put a chip in their brain and they take the elevator up, and then they are just in work mode and don't know anything. Like they can leave. When they leave, they're totally different people. I gotta say, I was very surprised at how the first season ended. I was a little shocked about that. So check Severance out, guys. What are y'all watching? Let me know. So this has been Caffeinate Your Career for today. Next week, Phil Kanicki will be here, and we will be talking about how to pivot in your job search and effective ways to pivot. So Phil's going to be here next week. We will see you then. Guys, have the best week. We'll see you next week. Bye.